So welcome to Cooking with Heart for Cancer Class 3. So today we are going to use some of the things we learned last week about the rainbow. We're going to have a beautiful stir fry today. And we're going to learn some amazing facts about mushrooms. Oh my goodness. So if you love mushrooms, you're going to just want to eat them more and more and more. So, and then we have the cauliflower and monkey cauliflower. And I call it monkey cauliflower because how many of you know monkey bread? Like monkey bread with all the caramel and okay. Well, this is that premise because you can pull the cauliflower off the head and it's got the sauce on it. So it's a lot of fun, kind of like the monkey bread kind of concept. So, but we've got cauliflower, we've got tomato sauce that is delicious, and it's kind of like got every spice possible for anti-cancer. So it's just magnificent. So, okay, so I'm super excited. We've got some guests today. So I want to get going with that. So first, we've got Kelsey. She is the director of Gilda's, the program director for Gilda's Club. So let me kind of get over here first, Kelsey. It takes me a second to get my orientation here. So sure. Get you spotlighted there. Let's see. It's coming up. It's just a little slow, taking its time. Okay, add you as a spotlight. Okay, I think now you're spotlighted and I think I hear you. So go ahead and share your great information about Gilda's Club.
Wonderful. Thank you, Teresa. These are one of our favorite series, so we appreciate you always allowing us to participate in it. Like Teresa said, my name is Kelsey Allen. I'm the program director with Gilda's Club Quad Cities. And I know Kelly Kraft, one of our program managers, was on with you guys last week to share the great things that we're doing. But I just wanted to quickly share 4 additional resources that we offer. So one of our programs we have in place is called Cancer Companion Program. So if you yourself has a diagnosis or you're a caregiver and you want to be matched with someone in a similar journey as you, we can certainly do like a peer-to-peer matching for support. So you can reach out to us if you're interested in that. The second resource I wanted to share with you quickly is our Open to Options program. So here at Gilda's Club, all of our services are always free and we're very much group focused. So we don't provide any individual counseling, but one resource we do provide that is more individualized is called Open to Options. And that's basically if someone is new to treatment or at a fork in the road with their treatment and has to make a treatment decision, we will sit down with you and offer an Open to Options session where we help you generate a list of questions for your doctor and help you feel more empowered to make a treatment decision that best fits your needs. And then the third resource I wanted to quickly share with you is called My Lifeline. If you're familiar with like a Caring Bridge, it is a website that you can customize and have people follow along your cancer journey. Or as a caregiver, you can design this for your loved one. I love this website because it has an online calendar. So if you're needing assistance with like maybe meal delivery or transportation to and from appointments, pet care, child care, any arrangements, you can put that on your helping calendar and your loved ones and family can sign up for those things, which is great. That's called My Lifeline. I'll drop the link in our chat. And then the last resource I wanted to share is just our national helpline number, which is called our Cancer Support Helpline. And I'll drop that phone number in the chat as well. But it's just a really great resource. They have extended hours past our local Gilda's Club Quad Cities, and it's staffed by licensed mental health professionals. So just wanted to provide that resource to you as well as just an additional option if you're needing support. So I'll drop those links in the chat, and I'm always happy to talk about those further if you want to reach out to Gilda's Club. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kelsey. Oh, wow. So lots of great resources. Like I've encouraged before, if you haven't been over either the Davenport or the Moline Gilda's Club, they are to die for. You're going to want to spend hours there. You can just have some tea and lounge and relax and then absorb the wonderful resources, figure out what fits for you. But please share that with others too. Because we rely on you sharing the word with others that are on the cancer journey or affected by the cancer journey. So thank you, Kelsey. Okay, so let's see here. There we go. And so, okay, So we're getting in today to meal planning and inflammation, what it means. But before we hop over there, there's another benefit that I want to share with you that's no cost. Everything at Gilda's Club, no cost. So, and there's another one that I've been like saving for you to let you know about, and that is over at our cancer center in Moline. We have a dietitian there that you can schedule an appointment, a one-on-one. So any of the information that I'm doing here that you want custom for you, that you want to go into more detail, we have a dietitian that you can sit down with and ask your questions. So Stephen is here. So Stephen, I'll have you come up here and just say a little bit about what you do and yourself. So go ahead. Stand there in the spotlight. So right there, it's kind of the camera spotlight is right there on that. There. Go ahead, step up. There you go. Oh, you're good. Perfect.
I'm a little taller than.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm Steven. So like she said, I work over in the Moline Cancer Center. And I'm available to meet with both during treatment and after treatment, because as we know, some obstacles can be different, as far as what we're trying to achieve during treatment and what we're trying to achieve for long-term, cancer prevention. So if you have any questions or anything, you can always call in either of them. Except I know it's just confusing over there. There's like two sides, but if you call either one, they know how to reach me. And just let them know that you want to speak with me and make an appointment or whatever. And I'm happy to help however I can.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yes. So that is a free resource. You don't need to like go through insurance or anything like that. So that's something that the, yes. Yeah.
Can you give it the phone number? The phone number?
I can, are you be over here all next week?
Yeah.
I can give her some cards for next week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. So, and if you call over the cancer center, just say dietitian schedule with, so Stephen. Yes. So yeah, that's a big bona fide benefit that is kind of like the secret. So, and we want to get it out there. So yeah, exactly. So hi, Helen, come on in. So, okay. So I want to share a talk a little bit about the yeast. So thank goodness somebody asked a question about it. I've been dying to kind of do a little research. And so I had an excuse then. I found out brewer's yeast, which is what Hy-Vee I just grabbed because that's what they have where we have our account for the groceries. And brewer's yeast is a little bitter, more bitter than the non-brewer's yeast. It's used for, a lot of times it's the yeast for beer. So it's perfect for beer, but I don't know about your recipes. I don't usually like that bitterness. So I did grab at Walmart. I don't have it with, is another brand that is not brewer's yeast like this. So there's slight differences in like the B12. You can look at them. They both are high in fiber, low in sodium, protein. This one is really high in protein, 13 grams for 2 tablespoons. Yeah. And 7 grams of fiber. I think the other one's like 4 grams of fiber. That's still tremendous. Yeah.
The same as the nutritional.
Yeah, this is, okay, sorry. So let me back up. This is nutritional yeast, but it's the brewer's version of it. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just going to be a little more bitter. So you got to figure out what you want. So this was at Hy-Vee. It was in the health food section. And but Hy-Vee, they do their stores depending upon who the manager is, kind of. So just, you might have to ask. At Walmart, it is with the active, there's active yeast that we use for rising bread.
Right.
And then there's this, which we use to add, and it's used in a lot of vegan recipes. It can add a cheesy flavor. So I would probably not use this for, like I'm actually fermenting some vegan cheese for a couple days with probiotics in it and using nutritional yeast to give it a little bit of a cheesiness to it. So I opted for not using it, thank goodness. So Marilyn, you said you did a little research. Do you have something you want to add there?
The taste.
Yeah, there's a slight differences in how they're grown and yeah, so this one's going to be, it's a nutritional yeast. It's nutritional brewer's yeast. So it can be used. It's just a matter of preference. And I've noticed when I'm starting to just even think about dabble in the vegan cheese world, nutritional yeast is a big deal. So like where you get it from, buy it from, this is the best source kind of thing. So yeah. So like I said before at the beginning of class, I use it for a pesto. In the foundational class, there's a recipe for a kale pesto using walnuts, kale, a little basil, and nutritional yeast instead of the Parmesan. So you can, you can use a little bit of Parmesan if you want to, but so, okay. So we all learned there. I love it. Okay. So we're going to hop into then, oh, before we do, I do want to hear from you guys. So let me know what learnings you had this last week. What things did you try out? You know, did you look at labels? Did you find out some new things for you? What learnings have you had this last week? You did? Ooh.
I liked it, but a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper was a little too much for my husband.
Okay.
So depending on your heat level, watch that piece of it.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay. Great. And I am leaving it off for today because I do think it has a lot of flavor without adding it. So it's
I think
optional.
it probably would have been better in my case
Mm-hmm.
or
Awesome. Awesome, Marianne. Awesome. Okay. Other sharings there? You tried hummus and you don't like it, Marilyn. Was that from the store? Okay.
What about making it?
Yes. Making it's completely different. Now there's different versions. There's,
I need a good recipe for hummus, because I just love it.
okay. Okay. Well, we need to dig out some Mediterranean because in Mediterranean, they know how to do it. So, yeah. So anybody have one that they want to share that they know? So, okay, I'll do some digging. So, but I mean, when I went to Mediterranean restaurant in Chicago, I was in heaven. It was the best hummus I'd ever had.
I mean, maybe it was the type that I got.
Yeah.
Because I've had it before. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's a lot of differences you can make with different chickpeas, the traditional edamame we're going to have today. You can actually make a hummus with edamame. Edamame is a mild, it's just immature soybean, so it's mild in flavor. So, okay.
white bean hummus this summer.
Okay.
Never had a white bean hummus before. Wow.
Okay. So yeah, you can make it with different, yeah, thank you, Denise. So you can make it with different beans,
Yeah.
white beans. Okay, yeah. So I think we're gonna find we're on a mission to find something. So anybody at home have a hummus that they have made that they love? I'm sure it's gonna be based in some good, evu, maybe garlic, some other things thrown in there. So a little lemon juice usually, sometimes tahini. So tahini is sesame paste. It's just kind of like natural peanut butter, just squeezed. You kind of separate a lot of times out there. So, okay. Oh, I do see somebody.
Hummus that you had last week, because I searched for it, but I couldn't find it. I was looking for that container.
Yeah, that was from Hy-Vee. That was just their, the hummus.
Was
That-
it Hy-Vee brand?
Yeah, it was their generic brand. So, and the lowest, I usually, if I'm grabbing it from the store, I look for the lowest sodium. So I think that was the garlic it's usually garlic or the regular. So, oh, Julie shared she tried to have 2 colors of veggies for at least 1 meal a day or vary each meal or every meal. So she's working on those veggies, getting 2 different colors. So yeah, great. From last week, we talked about the rainbow. 2 colors a meal is a great place to start. Awesome.
There's a restaurant in Bettendorf that's sort of Mediterranean, and it's called the Olive Tree Cafe.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you, the guy is really nice. We make everything fresh.
Yes.
And the food is excellent. And it is Mediterranean. I mean, I'm like, well, what's that? What's that? So it would be a place to go get some hummus. Or, he's really great. And they serve lunch and dinner, and the carryouts are great also. So it's Olive Tree in Bettendorf, and it's just off 53rd and 18th. There's sort of that, yeah, you gotta go back into there.
What's your first name?
Sandy.
Sandy. Sandy shared that Olive Tree on 53rd is a great Mediterranean. It is. I've been there, and it's my go-to for Mediterranean in Mont City. Yeah. Yeah, my kids love it too. It is. I have chatted with the I don't know if he's the owner or what, but it seems very authentic Mediterranean. So yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna hop into then talking about inflammation. So Also, we're going to talk about meal planning because I know many people, they get home and things are running a little behind and they're hungry and they want to get food on the table and they're like, oh, I want to get something. I'm really trying to change my eating, but right now I'm just spent on energy. So there's that frozen pizza in the freezer that calls them. And we all, we do that and we totally understand why. So today is going to be about what do we do in those cases? What can we do so that it's not that pizza is totally off limits, but we don't want that frequently, the frozen pizzas. So, so we're going to go into that today. And we want to talk about inflammation because inflammation comes up. You probably read about it a lot with cancer, a lot with heart disease, even with dementia. And, your doctor isn't going to write you an inflammation diagnosis. So, and we don't have, a purple colored ribbon for inflammation or a walk that raises, awareness for inflammation yet. You know what? It's the underlying in all these chronic diseases is inflammation. So I'm going to help you wrap your kind of arms around inflammation. So it's the single most significant cause of mortality, accounting for half of deaths worldwide. So let's hop over to my PowerPoint to help convey some of these key points. So the word inflamed typically brings up visions of a fire or a fierce fire. So, and that's really a good, representation of what's going on with inflammation. So let's break it down and what's going on with your immune system with inflammation. So your immune system is how your body defends itself against bacteria, viruses, substances that appear foreign or harmful, that when you're injured physically, it heals. So when your body is angry at an invader, it has detected, say, bacterial infection, a sprain, or a cut. Its first or acute immune response is to send platelets to get rid of the invader, followed by white blood cells. And they help sweep up some of the brokenness and repair and things like that. So this, and then we get broken proteins from the process, from healing, from defending. So we sweep those away. So now usually we see some redness, some swelling. We might feel some tenderness there at the site. We might see a scab healing over, sore throat. These are all signs that you are fighting infection. That's your body doing its healing. These are the platelets and the white blood cells working in your body. So I know we don't like that pain and temperature and things like the sore throat, but those are part of the ways our body fights infections. So now what can happen, this is a normal process of what we call the acute immune response. It's your first immune response. It's the short, immediate kind of, let's get things under control real quickly. And it happens about 3 to 5 days. So, and then we go into inflammation, immune response that's more strategic. And it's longer term, but let's just keep focused on this acute response, because the acute response that happens when you're in a healthy immune response, when you've had a bacteria infection, some type of virus, your body sends these platelets. The platelets send out cytokines that kind of attack, and they're very powerful. They actually can damage some of your healthy cells when they're trying to kind of quell what's going on there. And then your white blood cells come in and do some cleanup and repair. So this is what happens in a normal response. Now, what happens in an unhealthy response is it happens very low key. And we call it chronic inflammation because it's so low key, it almost goes undetected. So our regular kind of ways of picking up on immune response and virus attacks aren't going to pick up on chronic inflammation. It's just very low grade. But if you think of the same thing happening, that you've got these cytokines that are really, they're kind of, I hate to use the word toxic, but they're really supposed to kind of go in and everything. like the invader, normally when you have a true virus or bacteria. But think of that being just like a low grade, very sneaky kind of response going on in your body. Now, so this is something not 3 to 5 days, we're talking years, but it's happening there, and it's making it very difficult for your body to operate in a healthy way. And we call the chronic inflammation like systemic inflammation. And the white blood cells and their chemical messengers remain on alert at a very low level, and they stick around for a very long time. So that's chronic inflammation. So we here have acute and then the chronic. The white blood cells, for a multitude of reasons, are turned on mistakenly and release large amounts of pro-inflammatory cytokines. And they think they're attacking the bad guy, but they're really attacking your healthy tissue. So you see how that can cause problems. So what happens is then your body is attacking itself, and now it thinks there's another problem, and so it sends guys again. So it's this loop that your body is attacking itself when there's no real bad guy. So, and it's very low level, and it can be triggered by a perceived threat, or even when there's not a disease to fight, but some reason your immune system got triggered to send out guys, and in a way, you kind of have like unemployed immune system cells out in your body that are like, I'm bored, I'm going to do something. So they attack your healthy tissues. So researchers are still trying to understand fully what's going on in the process, but we know inflammation has a huge role in many diseases. You know, chronic inflammation plays a major role in heart disease and stroke. You know, these inflammatory cells, they stay in the blood vessels too long, they promote plaque buildup. And then we've got unstable plaque, we've got ruptures that can happen in cancer. It causes DNA damage that leads to different forms of cancer. And if we're not sweeping away at some of these damaged cells in a fashion, in a kind of systematic fashion, they kind of hang around and kind of rot and create problems. Chronic inflammation also doesn't really have symptoms that are easy to pinpoint. We have a test called C-reactive protein. It's a marker for inflammation, but it's like this real general marker of inflammation. It doesn't really pinpoint that you've got this low-key chronic inflammation going on. It doesn't tell us specifics, like, oh, maybe there's cancer going on, or maybe it's just chronic inflammation that's in the early stages, or lupus, or it's a cold. We don't know specifics with that C-reactive protein. So, I mean, it can help us, but it doesn't tell us. We can have things like joint pain going on. We can have things like heartburn, changes in mood, fatigue, digestive issues, getting hangry frequently. These all are possible symptoms, but you can see they're easy to be other things too. A low energy. 1 in 5 cancers are believed caused by or heavily influenced by chronic inflammation. So what can we do? So there's 5 things in our lifestyle that we can do. So let's kind of real quickly, because I know we've got some great dishes, but I want you to understand when we say the word, I hate it when people just say excess weight. Okay. So it's like, tell me more. Okay. It's really not the weight, the number on the scale that's the problem. Okay. Because you can have really great bone density and that number on the scale. And I've known some people that look, I mean, they are super on the scale. Their number is high, but they are super, they're just like really healthy for bone density. So you can't tell. So what happens is the fat is actually an active tissue. It's active, okay? It doesn't just hang there. And it releases inflammatory chemicals. And they're called adiponectins. And the belly fat is the most active, and it's nearest your most, essential organs. So that's where it's really dangerous, because it's like, it's kind of stirring things up and doing things. And it will release these anti-inflammatory protein and it will feed the inflammation, okay, the chronic inflammation. Stress, so, we have that every day, but when it stays up and cortisol doesn't drop down and our blood pressure stays up and doesn't drop down, the cortisol suppresses our immune system. That's one of the things, because our bodies are built to survive. And when we're afraid, when we have a fear, a perceived fear, our body just starts to shut down things like our digestive system and our immune system. So, and cortisol also contributes to inflammation and blood pressure increasing. So, so looking at managing your stress through breathing techniques, meditation, self-compassion, your attitude, time for yourself. These are all important parts of your health. Sleep, when you operate on sleep deficit, your cortisol breaks down slower. So basically you have cortisol in your bloodstream longer. And we also see more pro-inflammatory markers in people that have poor sleep, quality sleep. Exercise, just 20 minutes a day increases anti-inflammatory cytokines and decreases pro-inflammatory compounds. So just working your muscles is a great way to work through and pump out the things that we want in our body. And then food, we're going to get a little more into this specifically. So fish, EPA, DHA, I know it sounds like a federal organization there, but they suppress pro-inflammatory eicosanoids. So they stimulate making anti-inflammatory compounds and reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines. So they do a lot. Fish are great for immune system. And then we talked about the rainbow last week. That helps put out the flame of inflammation, a lot of anti-inflammatory compounds there. So again, looking at that 2 colors a meal is really helpful. Vitamin E, these are things like nuts, seeds, avocado. There's alpha and gamma tocopherol that are really precious, and they really help with inflammation. And then polyphenols, there's like 8,000 or more of them. They're famously known in green tea, chocolate, avocados, apples, things like that. Blueberries, olive oil have them in it. So it's pretty easy to get the polyphenols if you're in a whole food, plant-based eating pattern. So, okay, so those are all the things that we want to really capitalize on and grow in our lifestyle. So what do we want to decrease? Okay, that's right. I didn't make a slide because I really hate talking about what you should. So, but so that you're informed, probably no surprises here, red meats, okay? Red meats, okay? Processed meats, star. Okay, processed meats by World Health Organization are a carcinogen, okay? Category 1, up there with tobacco, guys, okay? Yeah, I know, it makes a knot in my stomach to hear it. Saturated fat from animal sources in particular. There is a difference. White refined carbs, high sugar drinks, getting that bolus injection of sugar, and sharp increases in blood sugar and sharp decreases. Even if you have normal blood sugars, you're like, diabetes doesn't run in the family for me, I'm good. If you're totally going up and down, you might be in the normal range, but your insulin being pumped out is gorgeous to try and keep it down. And insulin is a sneaky guy. So it can contribute to a lot of problems. So just know if you're sharply increasing, decreasing, but if you have fiber in your diet, whole foods, you're not going to do that, guys. Okay. So, okay. So, moving into meal planning tips. So first thing is double and freeze. If you're looking at, if you got your menus planned, we'll talk about planning menus in a second, but when you're looking out at what you're making in the week, what can you naturally double or freeze? Okay. Last night, I took a recipe that normally is a 9x13 and did it in an 8x8 because now it's just me and Gabby. Okay. I have 4 kids down to 1 in the house. So I don't need the 9x13. Okay. So I just made the 8x8 and then I took the canned tomatoes, black beans, and all the spices and corn, frozen corn, and put them in a container and put them in the freezer. And I made a list on the refrigerator, so I now know that's in the freezer, and maybe in 2 weeks, I usually try and do 2 weeks, I will take that out and make that dish again. So all I need you to add is some potatoes, small potatoes cut up, either sweet potato or white potato in there, and I've got a meal. So just start thinking about that. Start thinking about it. And on the worksheet, we're going to have you can change one of the columns to making notes of what you can do to double or freeze. Okay. So, and it's simple things like if you're measuring out the spices and you like this recipe, measure out double and put it in a little container and put it away, put a little label on it. Okay. So that way you're ready to go. I mean, I know it's saving you 2 minutes, but that's 2 minutes and that's dirty dishes. It makes a big difference when you're really tired. So mental energy to me is our biggest resource. Okay. When you're out of mental energy, you have trouble just doing it. You might have time, but you just can't find the energy to move forward. So having at least 4 quick meals that you have laid out in cards or wherever, easy peasy. I'm going to show you a couple things in a minute, but you need to find what works for you. And these, I'm just throwing out some idea toasts. Now, you know, some of you know my kind of feeling of bread. Like most of that bread aisle is not qualified as whole grain. Okay, really, even if it's brown colored. So Ezekiel, Daniel. But if you need a quick meal, guys, that's better than the frozen pizza. To get out Ezekiel, Daniel, toast it because it's really best toasted, guys. Do not thaw out Ezekiel and Daniel and think you're getting a soft, gooey piece of bread because you're not, okay? It's robust. But it's great with avocado on it, tahini, hummus, plus veggies, okay? My daughter, Abby, she's 14. She makes a killer avocado toast. So you can put an egg on top, you can put tofu, you know, there's all kinds of things you can put on real quickly on 1-2 pieces of toast. You can put romaine lettuce, tomato sliced, olives. There's all kinds of things that you have around spinach leaves. Then wraps, we've done some of that last week. Remember, you just need like 2 or 3 veggies, and you can have jar red peppers, we talked last week, hummus, that sweet onion dressing that we used, avocado, we've got it in little containers, or you can put it in the frozen. So fish with lime is great to put in wraps. Fish is so easy. You just squeeze some lime, 350, 15 minutes, it's done. Just kind of flake it with a fork. Make your own plates or boards. I cannot say that word. What is that word? Thank you. Thank you, Denise. I say it wrong. My kids make fun of me every time. So, but make your own charcuterie board and make it Mexican flavor, Italian, Mediterranean. I mean, a lot of times I'll just go and put 2, you know, I have, you know, because your vegetables and fruits are always kind of ripening at different points. So it's like, oh, I've got an avocado, I've got a peach, I've got some cherry tomatoes. Oh, let me just put those out and let people create their own thing. Just give them the stuff on the board. It just really works great. Corn tortillas, I love to have those. I know last week you can't roll up in corn tortillas as much as flour, but there's Mia Mamas that holds better, M-I Mamas, and you have to get those refrigerated, just FYI. So if you're just looking all over the store in the non-refrigerator, you're never going to find it. But they're only like 3 ingredients. So I use them when I'm in the mood for a wrap real quick. Last week we did the seaweed and the rice wraps. And there's just so many possibilities when you start to go, oh, I've got so much here. Then a bowl is basically on the bottom, you put the grain, the whole grain, or you can even skip that and put chopped up lettuce of whatever kind of dark green you have. And then put veggies, 1 to 4 or 5 veggies, little piles or layers. And then you put your protein, which could be beans, egg, salmon, fish. And I'm going to show you a lentil bag in a second that I do all the time. And we've done a sauce last week. The walnut dressing is a great sauce. It doesn't take too much time if you have a blender, even a personalized blender. And then today we're going to do a peanut sauce for the stir fry. You can actually package that and use that. So these are all kinds of things, you know, and if you're in a hurry, you know, you can do like corn blue tortilla chips. I mean, that's not like every week, but if you're in a hurry and you want to do hummus and avocado with that and tomato or salsa, that's going to be great. So, okay. So other kind of ideas for planning tips are always have a list. It saves 20 to 40% in your groceries. And, you know, figure out, I have stars next to everything that goes in the frozen or produce. So I know kind of real quickly, oh, I got everything. How you organize, maybe you have your list that has produce here, you know, figure out what works. Storage containers, okay? So please stop saving all the butter and whip topping containers, okay? With all the different lids that you can never find, like my mom does. It drives me crazy, okay? I mean, I have a ton of containers, but they all are I can use the same lid size. It's different and they're clear. So Rubbermaid makes some great ones. I mean, they're not perfectly clear. Glass is ideal, but I can't afford glass for my 20 containers that I have. I have a couple glass ones that I covet, but glass is the prettiest because it shows the color, it shows you, it jumps out at you. But at least clear plastic is really helpful. So easy to store the lids to get them out. Okay, nobody should be spending 2 minutes looking for a lid. Okay, and have fun. Just start figuring these things out. What works for you now may not work in 5 years. It may not work in 6 months. You've got to redo it. Okay, I redid my recipes and kind of what's my go-to, considering I have Gabby now. So it's just me. It was 3 over the summer, and then in last April, there was 3 kids at home. So it's just always changing. But I went through last weekend all my recipes and got out the ones that, hey, she's not real fond of, okay? So I got those out that are gonna make bigger ones. It's not gonna work, because remember, like when you organize, you don't want to dilute what you're doing. You want to go quickly. I want you to be able to plan your menus in 5 minutes. So get those recipes. It doesn't mean you have to throw them out, but put them in a folder. I have a folder that says not on rotation. So, you know, just real simple. I've got them there. I know where they are. I can grab it if I'm in the mood, but this is my quick go-to recipes. So in your binder, you have swapping, some ideas for taking your own recipes that you have. There's a chart there, a lot of great ideas. Go through that and start making changes in your own recipe. You don't need to get all brand new recipes. A lot of times just adding a layer of lettuce, adding extra tomato or mushrooms into a dish, you're gonna make it awesome then for plant-based eating. So master meal list, that's one thing I do recommend, because usually most of us have like newspaper clippings, we have the magazine tear outs, we have maybe pictures in our phone, and you know, we just have all these different array of recipes from different sources. Make a master list, and then you can put in the second column where it is from. Okay, where is it? Is it in this cookbook? Is it in, you know, your binder of newspapers, recipes? So, but you need a master list so that you're not having to filter through all your recipes individually. Have a master list. And then usually I have a list of what I'm using right then, like the list like I'm using for Gabby and I now. So I make a couple of those, but you know, and you can break it down however you want. You can make it in fun. So this is my weekly planning worksheet. I use this. I usually cross out one column or one row and put who's picking up Gabby. So, you know, you can just do this however it works for you at that time. But this is my main chart on the refrigerator. Everybody knows if you want to know what's for dinner and who's making it, once you become like, Gabby even has 1 meal a week that she makes. So she's 14. Now the others were a little older when I made them make a meal a week. They tell me, text me by 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Otherwise, they're going to have to go to the store to get the ingredients. So, but you know, that's just part of the deal in my household. So I'll put who's making that meal so they can communicate if they're going to be late, who to text, and if they're not going to make the dinner. Prep for the next day is really helpful when you're looking through the week. What do you need to thaw out? 2 days before, 1 day before? Can you make a grain that can go the whole week? Okay, so or at least the next day. Just start baby steps. What can work? Can you put together a seasoning so that will help you on Thursday? If you can do it on Monday, which is your lighter day, that will make Thursday go smoother. So just thinking about you don't have to use all these columns, but the idea is to start triggering you to think, well, you really want half your plate to be vegetables and fruits, and then whole grain a little bit, and then a quality protein in there. So, you know, and I have a planned over day always in there. So it's things that just, you know, we have extra of, and I throw it together and we make a meal of it. So, so that's really helpful. Okay, so you can make things into, on your worksheets there, I have different worksheets where you can make them into themes. When my kids were really small, I actually had 4 weeks of menus I would rotate, and I had them through themes, and I had, you know, different nights for different things, and oh my goodness, it was crazy. That might work for you at a certain point. It may not work now. It doesn't work for me now. So you just figure out what works for you, what's fun, you know, Meatless Monday, Fish Friday, Taco Tuesday, you know, different things. You just figure out what makes it fun for you. So, okay, so think of, oh, I didn't get the sticky. So, well, I'll just have you guys, we need to get cooking. So think of a takeaway you have so far and look at your action steps. You got your action step sheets in your binder there. Rearranging your refrigerator so you see things so that you eat what you want to eat. That is not a raw carrot. That is cooked, that is cut up carrots or roasted peppers. It's ready to go foods at that primo real estate. You can have your, you know, cauliflower ahead in the refrigerator visible, but the first place you look needs to be ready to go vegetables ideally, because you want to eat more of those. So let me get out of here and share a couple of my go-to things for quick meals. Okay. So, oh, you guys are still here. Good. Okay. So, again, you know, you got to find what works for you. These may not work, but for this has been the Tasty Bite. Now, they have like 8 of them, not all of them. You know how to read, you know, start reading the label. But our 2 favorite are, this is the big one my kids love, the lentils, the Madre's lentils. So what it is, you can either put this in the microwave or you can, for some reason, I just boil water on the stove. I'll even call my kid and say, hey, put some water on the stove when I'm on my way home. And then you stand this up and it just needs to get heated up and you peel it back and pour it. So usually rice, I have a rice cooker, I'm spoiled. So I've had it forever. We eat a lot of rice. So I'll say, put the rice on, or I'll put it on in the morning. Because the nice thing is when you have a rice cooker, put it on in the morning, it's ready and it's held. So spinach, rice, and lentils. That's my go-to super can't think quick meal. So I always have spinach or romaine. I just chop up real quickly, and I'll put either the rice on the bottom, just, you know, like 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup, and then the dark green, or you can put the dark green on the bottom, and then pour this over. This is lentils. So with a tomato spicy sauce. So this one's a Madre Indian, or this one here. This one's the lentils, and this one's the Chana's masala. Some of them you need to look at the saturated fat and sodium. Usually for pre-prepared packaged things, the main dish, I look for 500 or less milligrams of sodium. So that rules out about 98% of the grocery store packaged items. So, but there do exist a few. So, but they need to taste good. And so these the kids love. So we'll usually go, when I've got my son, he'll go through 2 of these packs. So, you can get that Hy-Vee, Costco, I'm pretty sure. I know they, you know, sometimes they carry, sometimes they don't, and online. So it's pretty easy to find that. Trader Joe's, I wish they had one here. I know, I wish all these were Hy-Vee sometimes, but, or Trader Joe's. But this is from Trader Joe's. It has only 330 milligrams of sodium. It has kick. Let me tell you, it has kick. So, but this is a real easy. It's cauliflower rice. So the top ingredients, cauliflower, tomatoes, red bell peppers, yellow red peppers, green bell peppers. I mean, it just goes like that. And then near the bottom, extra virgin olive oil, you know, so, and it's extra virgin olive oil. That's like never on a label, never. So, and there's a couple other things at Trader Joe's. There's like a onion and pepper mix that I'll use too as a starting point when I'm in a hurry. So, and then for working on the road, this is pretty cool. I actually have one for doing for my media stints, because most media places don't have a real kitchen. So, but they want the host to eat their food, and you're like, oh, I need to have it hot. So, so this is like a lunch bag that heats up really quickly. You can use, it actually has an adapter for your car. So if you do a lot of traveling And so, one thing is, of course, on the road, what do you do? But, this is an easy way. It does take a little time. You have to plan ahead. Like if you take a frozen meal that would pass the criteria and heat it up, but it does really good. So there's things like that just to kind of factor in so that you're not stuck somewhere. So I write a list on my refrigerator with my quick frozen meals ready to go. Either I've already, frozen half of that, kind of things, and then I cross it off when I use it. And every week I try and use one and make one that's going to go in the freezer. So those things just kind of help there. Okay, so let's get cooking. So we're going to start off with the farro. So farro is an ancient grain. So it's from Mesopotamia. I believe Abel and Cain lived there once upon a time. So it's typically in the grocery store, we're going to get pearled. So there's a little bit of the bran gone, but you can order it online and get the whole. The whole takes about 45 minutes to cook. The only way you know that it's pearled, honestly, farro's a little tricky, is if it says, when you read the instructions about how to cook, if it says anything less than 40 minutes, it's pearled somehow. So that's fine. Just means it was cooked a little bit and a little bit taken off of the bran, but it's almost as high in fiber and protein as quinoa. So it's kind of homey. It reminds me of hominy a little bit, of barley a little bit, so I just want you guys to experience it. So I rinsed, we're doing the pasta method for cooking. So I rinsed a cup, and I have here, and I have 4 cups of water here I'm going to add. And with your ancient grains, you have like 2 different methods. You can do what's called the rice method of cooking or the pasta method. And the pasta method basically means you put a lot of water, you put the grain in there, you cook it till it's done, and then you drain it, like pasta. Whereas the rice method is you try and get it exactly so it absorbs, and it's usually a 2 to 1. So we're just going to do, with your ancient grains, it's no big deal. I'm just going to I've got the water there. I'm going to boil it, and then we're just going to drain it off after 30 minutes. So, okay, we're going to be short on time there. So, but we'll get it going. We'll see if we can taste a little bit there. So I should have put the timer on to put that on. Okay, so we're going to do the sauce for. Let me switch my camera. So we're going to do our sauce for a peanut sauce for the stir fry then, and there we go. Okay, so this is a really good peanut sauce that you can use for other things. So a lot of people have used it because they really like it. Now, if you don't like peanut sauce, now I find when I throw get-togethers, peanut sauce goes quickly. Most people like peanut sauce. But there is a broth based with a little maple syrup, veggie broth, ginger, garlic, rice vinegar, coconut aminos. Let me know if you want that recipe. So because there is allergies to peanuts too that I want to be sensitive to. So I'm gonna make actually half the recipe because this makes a lot. So, and I actually don't even have a wok big enough pan to do the full recipe. So we're gonna do peanut butter. I just did regular peanut butter. If you want to use natural, that's fine. You gotta stir it. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to stir. So I want to make things as easy accessible as possible. Coconut aminos, remember we've talked about this. We want to get coconut liquid aminos rather than just the liquid aminos. Bragg's does a liquid aminos. This is the lowest sodium, that's why. It tastes like soy sauce. It isn't soy sauce, but it's a good thing to use to substitute. So we're going to use a little bit of that. We're going to use a little bit of lime. Let's see, where's my lime? That's my water. That must be my lime there. Okay, lime. So remember lime and lemon, we can just squeeze with the tongs. So you don't need a squeezer. You don't need to dirty those dishes. So we're going to add a little sriracha. Okay, kids, teens love sriracha. You just need a little bit, like a teaspoon is all I added there. A little bit of brown sugar to give it a little sweetness there. And then I'm going to use powdered ginger and garlic. I did want to point out somewhere here we go. You can use fresh ginger there, and fresh ginger I love to use it, so I want you to be confident using it. So here you can break off whatever you want when they have this in the bin. You don't have to like pick one that's already, just break it off, whatever you want. And then the best way, I've learned this, you can use a peeler, but the best way is to use
your spoon. And part of the reason is it works fine is because with a peeler, you're going to peel off a little deeper cut. With a spoon, because remember, those phytochemicals are right below the skin, right there. So we want to get as close as we can. So the knobs here, I usually just break those off and toss those. So you can freeze ginger, but you want to do this to the whole thing first. That way you can just take it out and just chivvy it kind of on your zester or microblade. This is a microblade, so we just would go like that. So with it, but a lot of times I actually have little knobs in a freezer bag in the freezer that I can take out and just do that right away. So that makes garlic very accessible, or ginger very accessible. So then we're going to add a little water to this. So you can see this isn't a lot of sauce, but we don't need a lot to give the zing that we want to the veggies. And if you want to double this or something and put it in a little container, especially like I like to do sauces, a lot of times I will just one of these smaller mason jars and just shake it and keep it in there. So, and it's a great way to give gifts to other people too. So, but we're just gonna mix this. I'm gonna use the whisker real quick. I think I'm gonna get it quicker. There we go. You see, that's all I need there. I'm gonna coat that on the veggies and I'm gonna stir fry now. So let me stir fry. And let me get the water going for our cauliflower since we're getting low on time. So cauliflower, what we're going to do there is I'm going to steam it, but you don't even need to have a steamer. So a normal steamer is like this. That's fine if you have it, but I'm going to assume you don't have them. And so what I'm going to do is I have just like a ½ inch of water here in this pan. And for some reason, Ivy had the tiniest cauliflowers. So there's one I already prepped. This one, what you just need to do is I rinsed it. I cut off some of the brown spots there with a paring knife and cut it there. So I'm going to peel back. I want to get a flat here. I just want to take off. Yes, there we go. I'm cooking that farro. Let's get that cooked. So I'm just going to peel these off. Just so that's all you need to do. And then set it in there. So let me try and get that in there. So, and then like 10 minutes, I'm going to steam it. So I want to get it nicely steamed, but I want to keep it together as a clump because I want to serve it on a platter and pour the tomato sauce over it. And then you can use a fork to pull out because it'll be steamed, the broccoli, so, or the cauliflower. So it's a real nice kind of easy, don't have to get special equipment, but you can just be eating that way. Okay. So let's see, the stir, let's see. Okay, this is sauce. Let's wait on this. I'm going to start the stir fry. So let's get our stir fry ingredients here. Okay, let's talk about mushrooms. So who likes mushrooms? Yay. Okay, so I want you to eat more mushrooms. Okay, so mushrooms, there was a study done at Penn State. They released in April 2021 meta-analysis of 17 cancer studies from just about 20,000 cancer patients. And mushrooms of all types guarded against cancer, they found. Now, they're still trying to find out more details. They looked mostly at breast cancer. The compound team, it appears to be this amino acid called ergothioneine. So it's it's an antioxidant that goes into your mitochondria, which is your powerhouse of your cell. Many of the antioxidants don't go that far into the cell. They go into the cytoplasm and different parts of the cell and do great stuff. But this one in particular goes to your powerhouse, which is largely responsible for things like aging, like dark spots, like wrinkly skin, and just how your body kind of ages, your tissues break down slowly. So over time, kind of like, like rusting is kind of like a car does. We kind of, oxidation builds up in us and we have memory loss and organ systems break down very slowly, but this is a lot in the mitochondria. So this really, really helps. It's an antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory. It has nearly 40 times more of this amino acid than
like beans, which are the next thing. Okay. So it's actually made in the soil from microorganisms, this protein, and the fungi, then it comes in the fungi, and that's in beans how it gets it, it's from the soil. And actually animals have a little bit of it from eating the soil, the grass. So, but not too much, like 0.7 or something. It doesn't have a lot, but it has some. So let me see. The highest ones, they're still trying to figure, I saw different things. It's not broken down too bad by heat. So even heat, you want to heat mushrooms because there's things in them that we want to make sure are worked out. But you're not destroying this amino acid from the best I could tell in the literature and the studies. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Yes. And dried have it in it too, dried mushrooms. So they found between 1/8 and 1/4 a cup a day was what those that had the highest protection. So that's basically one button mushroom, and button mushrooms have it in. They're not the highest, but they still have way more than like beans and other things. So, having a lot of mushrooms is really great. So, now washing mushrooms, there's a lot of different opinions about washing mushrooms. Let me see real quick. I want to see how much, where's my, there we go, tablespoon of my extra virgin olive oil. Can I get this going? So you can either use a paper towel to wipe off the kind of soil on it. Do know that most mushrooms are grown in kind of indoor greenhouses. So it's like clean dirt that we have on mushrooms. So you don't need to panic. It's not like outside getting the pollution and, and little critter stuff and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it is dirt, but it's kind of, I like to call it clean dirt. So, but you can use a paper towel. I used to do that for years. And then I'm like, gosh, a lot of paper towels I'm going through. So I did read about it. And what I do now is I take like a bowl like this and I put my 8 ounces in there. And then I just do my hand like a wash machine. I just kind of swirl my hand to kind of shake off the dirt real quick. I don't let it sit there for like 10 minutes. I just right there, do it, swish, 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 drain it off, then put it on my cutting board. Then if I'm doing 16 ounces, I do another 8 ounces. So that for the most part, yes, it's not perfect, but again, it's, these are clean dirt. So, and they're going to be cooked. So you should be fine. That's the way I do it. I have mushrooms. I do roasted mushrooms every single week. So we're gonna add in, get that heated up. Check that it's heated there. We don't want to add it when it's cold because otherwise it's going to suck up the oil. So we're going to add the mushrooms first because they need to cook the longest. So then next, we're going to add then the broccoli. So the broccoli I just cut up into small little pieces. It'll cook a little quicker that way. Oh, here's one. I thought I had one. I was going to show you to cut. Mushrooms, there's no real trick except for hold it, guys, and pay attention to what you're doing. So you don't cut your fingers off because they're not nice and round. They don't have a flat edge to them. So you got to just pay attention. You can use an egg slicer, but I did that for years. And again, I went through so many egg slicers. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to cut them myself. So I usually just cut them. Okay. So let's see. My order of them. Yeah. Carrot chips. Let me go with the carrot chips next. I did carrot chips because they're thin, they're easy. You can do raw carrots and slice them thin. It just takes more time. I just want this to be easy for you. So we're going to add those in there. If you use shredded carrots, would you add it the same time or later in the order? Later, because there's, we're just like kind of like steaming them just a little bit. So next I'm going to add the broccoli. We can put this a little quicker by simmering that in a little bit. Okay, so then red pepper next. So red pepper, I've got some here cut, but I want you to know how to do it. So think of a red pepper like a box, top, bottom, sides. So we're going to take off the top, we're going to take off the bottom, we're going to stand it up, and then we're just going to open up the side. Just slice it and open it up, okay? Now I'm going to take the knife, and I just want to think I'm just evening it out this way. Don't go like this through the pithy parts, because you'll see it works better. Flatten it, and just take my knife, go gently along there,
and just takes off everything there nicely. So now I've got really a flat surface, flatten it out. And then I can, however, kind of whatever thickness I want there, I can do that. So save these, eat those, yes. So red pepper is one of my favorite vegetables. So, okay, so we're going to add the red pepper next. And edamame. I just put this at room temperature. You would maybe thaw it out, but it probably thawed out. It probably thaw out just from the temperature there. Here's the shelled edamame. Make sure no salt added. Depends upon the brand. So edamame sobe. This is shelled. When they have the shell on them, then they kind of look like a snow pea in a way. You pull that off. You can eat those as a snack, but make sure no salt. Usually, it's kind of hard to find the with the shell without salt. So, but these are no salt. So this is from Hy-Vee, and this is immature soybean. So it's super high fiber, pretty color, protein. It doesn't really have a lot of flavor. So it's a great thing to add in to start converting to more plant-based. Okay, so add those in. They didn't have any snow peas, so sorry guys. So you don't need all of these anyway. So, and this is half. You can see I'm just making half right now. So we're gonna turn that down. And then I'm gonna add my sauce here. And you can see that's plenty of sauce. Just coat this real quick. Actually, I'm gonna put that on. Just enough to give it a nice little coating, some additional flavor. And look how beautiful that is. The broccoli has gotten greener. So we're just going to turn that off. And the farro, let's see how we're doing there. Yeah, we're over. Sorry, guys. Okay. So I'm going to let it cook just a little longer there. Let's see. Oh shoot, we got to do our sauce, our tomato sauce. Let's do that real quick. So tomato sauce, super easy. I'm just going to take out, first I'm going to make the spices fragrant by just taking a little bit of olive oil. So let's turn that back on a little bit there. Put the olive oil there. And then we're just going to add the spices just to give it, to cook it and bring out some of the flavor in the spices there. Just a little bit. The pan is gonna, this is hiding pretty quick. So I'm just gonna do that, give it some flavor, bring it out. Right there in the oil, the heat. And then we're gonna add no added salt, diced tomatoes. So I'm gonna mix that in. And we're going to let that kind of thicken and meld its flavors together. So did you notice with the tomato, we have garlic powder, we have turmeric. You want to make sure on your recipe that you add black pepper. I think I forgot to add that. You're going to notice next week why it's important that we always have black pepper with turmeric. We've got cumin, coriander, so ginger in there. So it's got all it's super anti-cancer. So I'm just going to short on lids. Oh. Let me see if I can grab another one. We changed around the kitchen a little bit and I can't find my lids. Okay, well, just want to cook this real quick. So I'm going to do like that real quick. Okay, so I'm going to, the cauliflower, let me get that. We can probably put that on a plate. So let me get pull this out. So I've been known to eat this cauliflower all in one sitting. So it's really good with the sauce, the tomato sauce on top. So, okay. So pretty close. We could probably do a minute or two more. This one's probably going to be a little closer. So let's do. Trying to have those bits. No, we have to have. We can't have any linen in this kitchen because we don't have a laundry service, so everything has to be able to go through my dishwasher. So yes, yes. So okay, so you see how this is turned and thickened up? See how quick that was? Yeah. I'm just going to pour it over. There's a little bit if you have one, but it's a little bit over a good one. I want to make sure you all got to try it. So see how pretty that is? So I want to show you guys at home. So there you go. So if it was one, we'd pour it over the one and pour it over. And the idea is, we don't actually have any forks here. So yeah, we could do that. So that you go in and then you can break off. So you can see how it's just, because it's just steamed, you can break off and then you get the pieces. So, or you can sit there and eat the whole thing at the table yourself. So either works. So, okay, let's see. So action steps, everybody have their action step figured out. So let me see if this is done. We're going to go ahead with it. I'm going to drain it. Just use this colander here to drain it. The pasta method. It might be just a little chewy, but I want you guys to taste it. So we're going to mix that in. Whoa, okay. So I add a little extra farro. So you're going to have a little more farro to vegetables here, but I want you to taste the farro too. It will stay for days in the refrigerator. So it's just a fun, chewier kind of grain there. Okay, so I think we're ready. So, okay, next week we're going to talk about the power on your plate. We're going to talk about trash talk tofu. So, and I know a lot of people want to know about tofu and breast cancer. So we're going to clear that up, the confusion there. And things that you can do with veggies to even bring out more power and how you can pair up some of these plants to make them together more powerful. I call them marriages made in heaven. So, so that will be next week. So make sure you check off 1, 2 action steps. No more than that. Baby steps, guys. You're here. You're digesting this. You're starting to see things differently and integrate things in your lifestyle. So thank you. And I think we're ready to eat.